Listen, we're at the time of the year, we're well into 2026, and I'm sure many of you are thinking about getting in shape for summer, feeling good, and especially perhaps if you're single and you're looking for that special someone, then if so, my next guest is perfect for you. We're going to be discussing some stuff around that and a few other bits as well, because she's got some interesting relationship stories to share as well. Welcome to the Feel Inspired podcast. I'd like to introduce my lovely guest, my delightful, delectable Manisha, your nutritionist.
Hi, Amit.
Do you know what I was thinking? All right, before I left the house this morning, I thought of a great tagline for you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like how you say, like, I'm the man or you're the man.
Yeah.
Your tagline could be, I'm the Manisha.
Well, you know, when I was in my younger days, I used to be called man-eater. So that could be my new one. You're
I
man-eater.
love that. Oh my God, that should
Keep
be your
your husbands
tagline.
away.
That should be your tagline. I'm telling you, honestly, that's so
There
good.
used to be that song, if you remember, man-eater. Yeah, that one.
I love it. I
Yeah.
love it. We have a little bit of tradition on the podcast because I have these Spark Conversations cards. They're the
Okay.
thing I invented to help people with dating relationships. And what I'm going to ask you to do is just pull out any three cards whenever you're ready. If you can, wherever you want to.
Am I keeping them?
Yeah, and then pass them over to me when you're ready. Hold on to it for a second. And then there we go.
2, 3.
There we go. All right, cool. If you pass them over to me, I may ask you one or all three of these questions to get the ball rolling. Are you ready?
Okay, yep.
Okay, this is a good one. It's the one I haven't asked recently. Is if you were a fictional character, well, we've kind of answered it in a sense, but what would be your catchphrase?
There you go. You're man-eater.
Yeah, we've kind of answered it anyway. But one of the things you're quite famous for, very well known for, especially on Instagram and socials, is that you've done this thing with your husband. What's your husband's name, by the way?
Jonathan,
And your kids?
Ava and Amelie.
And they are, obviously, your husband is English, you're Gujarati, and you've posed a challenge to them where you've kind of asked them or got them to pronounce difficult Gujarati words. So I thought we could just start by having a little bit of fun, right? I want you to give me 3 Gujarati words, starting off with an easy one, a medium one, and a really difficult one, and then I have to see how well I can pronounce,
Oh,
right?
gosh,
So,
there was quite a few, wasn't there?
yeah.
Oh, my
Especially food items were good ones that you did, I think.
Okay, I've got the first one.
Right, go for it. Give me the first one.
Sakatiti.
Just that word in itself. Sakatiti. What?
Sakatiti.
Sakatiti. What is that though? I don't even know when I saw that
It's
one.
a yellow honeydew melon.
Oh,
Yeah, because the
sakatiti.
green one is called tarbuj.
Yeah, tarbuj, yeah,
Yeah,
that one I
and then
know.
the sakatiti is the yellow one. The next one is batita vada.
That one I could do because that's a common one. Batita vada.
Batita vada. Okay.
Okay.
God,
give me a
there was
really
another one.
hard
You know,
one.
I've got a list of the really difficult ones. Jawabdari.
Jawabdari.
Yeah.
Oh.
See, I have trouble saying that one sometimes
Ah.
because when I'm talking to my mom and I try to explain to her that I've got more responsibilities than she thinks I have, the word for responsibility is jawabdari, right?
Is it Jawabdari? Okay,
Is
cool,
it?
yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah,
Is
I
it?
think it is. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Jawabdari, yeah.
Well, you
responsibility,
definitely still
yeah.
know more than me. I'm seeking your counsel on this one. 'Cause
Well, I'm not the best pronunciation, so
if Nirti was here, no, you are. You're much better than me. Because if Nirti was here, she'd be absolutely slating me right now. Because she, when I speak to, especially her sort of spiritual family in India, and I go there and I try and speak to them in Gujarati, like she's in the background. You will hear her sniggering when I'm trying to speak to these people, and I'm like, but the kim che, kim cho, saru che, sukaro cho, tabit kim che, right? And they just
that's pretty good,
no,
though.
it's okay, right? But
it's
still-
the accent, I think, that does it, isn't it?
It is, yeah, that's what it is. It
Yeah,
does it,
because
so-
even when I speak Gujarati in some of my videos, people always say, "Oh, it's really mitti, it's really mitti Gujarati," and I don't really know what that means. But obviously, we must have a different dialect compared to others. Yeah,
But that
because
would mean sweet, right? So they
yeah,
must
it's
like
sweet.
it.
Yeah, it's a sweet
Compliment.
way. Yeah. I mean,
Compliment.
yeah.
Oh, nice.
I never thought about it that way, but okay, I'll take it.
Yeah, why not? I'll take any compliment I can get. I tell you, they're rare these days as well, especially as we get
Exactly.
older. But let's talk firstly about because what you do. So tell everyone, and if anyone who doesn't know you, do your 30-second elevator pitch. Tell people what you do and what's your key line of work.
So I'm Manisha. I'm a nutritionist and personal trainer, and I help women over the age of 35 to basically look good, feel good, and build confidence, because confidence is where it's at, okay? And confidence has to be built. And how can you do that? For some people, it's looking good, it's feeling good. So I take away the BS out of dieting, keep it simple, help them to adopt healthy, sustainable habits
Yeah.
for life. Because life has got to be a mixture of looking after yourself physically, mentally, and emotionally, and then enjoying it.
Yeah, it's so
So,
true. I had an issue with my knee recently. You know me, right? I've done loads of stuff. Done in fact, you're doing the marathon as well, aren't you, this year?
God, everyone knows about it, yeah, because
Yeah.
I need to tell everyone because I hate it so much. But yeah.
Yeah, I know, right? But yeah, I've done, played badminton competitively for 25 years, done marathons, done everything. And then I took up paddle last year. And then that was it. My knee got completely buggered. So grade 4 cartilage loss, arthritis, meniscal
Oh
tear, all in my right
no.
knee. And there was a period where a few days where I was actually genuinely quite depressed because for me, movement is everything.
Yeah.
And I genuinely thought if this is my life now, I'd rather be unalive than not have this issue because I've always said that the one thing I don't want to lose is my independence, doing stuff by myself. I never want anyone to look
And I,
after me.
and I think it's worse when you are an active
Yeah.
person. But the mistake that I see people making quite a lot is lots and lots of cardio movement, but not enough strength
Well,
training.
I do both. I was doing
Oh,
both. I do a
okay,
lot. I do a
right.
lot of strength training as
Damn.
well. Yeah, but I think it's just obviously what I realized. What I was trying to figure out in my head because I'm very analytical when it comes to stuff like this, and I realized the movement was very different to badminton.
Yeah.
Because badminton, you don't twist as much. You move backward and forward and lunge side to side,
Mm,
whereas a paddle you twist a lot. And I
okay.
think my knee was just not used to it. So
Right.
I'm back playing now, though. I've started
Okay.
playing again, and I'm back into it, and not playing as much as I was playing like 3 4 times a day at one point. So
Mm,
I probably overdid it a bit. But then I'm back to playing. I'm playing a little bit of badminton, lightly. But even then, I thought to myself, okay, look, I don't want to become complacent in any way, shape, or form. So you're doing the marathon this year, right? And I
mhm.
thought to myself, I can't do that yet. I definitely can't run yet. But what can I do? So I thought, okay, I'm going to sign up for the London to Brighton bike ride. So I'm doing that to keep my
Yes.
knee strong,
Right.
my legs strong, everything. Because again, at this age, right, muscular atrophy is just so. I notice it a week or two in. No,
Mm.
no exercise. I feel. I look in the mirror. I see it.
And I think as you get older, you start to notice that a lot quicker. And for women, it's even worse
Yeah,
because we lose muscle mass at a much faster rate, especially post menopause, than
yeah,
men do. So it's really important to keep your muscles strong, your bones strong, with a healthy mind.
hell yeah. Amen to that.
Do you know, we just need to give up our jobs and just
Yeah.
focus on living and our best life, I think.
Don't tell Niti that. She'll do that. She'll take your advice. She'll
But it
know.
is though, isn't it? Sometimes it feels like a
Mm,
full-time job. It's
it is.
like this morning, I had to meal prep my breakfast. I made my breakfast last night, but
Yeah.
made my lunch. And then obviously I've got to go home and then have dinner. So it is and I haven't been able to get a walk in today because I left so early. So there are a lot of things to think about. And that's just me that I've spoken about. If you've got a family on top of that, and then if you've got elderly relatives, family, which you most likely do it, when you get around about the age 40, 50 plus, there's a lot of jawabdari on you.
Yeah,
Do you know what I
it
mean?
is proper. So, what do you tell people then who've got? Because another thing I spoke about recently was, I said one of the, it's a bit of a difficult thing. It's a difficult situation to be in for people who are in this category, but people who are dating as they get older, and I sort of stir this up a little bit in controversy because it is true. I think we've been taught to delay relationships longer and longer, but this is the part that no one tells you, which is that as you get older, your responsibilities increase, of which it's looking after our elders, right? Mums, dads, brothers, sisters, whoever, right? So you tend to have more responsibilities. So I see a massive cohort of people who are in their sort of late 30s, early 40s, maybe even 50s, who are now full-time carers for their family. And they would love to meet a partner, but now finding the time to add that
Mm.
in is really difficult. So even more so, it's important to factor in looking after yourself, but also making the time to do these things as well.
I have a few clients actually in that situation. So first of all, I think women of my age anyway, so I'm mid 50s,
Yeah. Oh, you don't
we
look it
weren't
at all. Shut up.
just get that in there. I haven't mentioned it for quite a few days. But you see, it's the age thing is important because women of my generation, we weren't brought up to love ourselves, to take care of ourselves. It was always about pleasing other
Yeah.
people. So I'd like to think if there was anybody of my age dating, single, that they've learnt to look after number one, which is themselves, right? As for younger people, again, same thing. I hope that they've been brought up, especially now with there's so much emphasis, isn't there, on self-care, that by the time their parents do become a little bit older and they need them, that they've learnt to prioritize what's important, but still giving time to themselves because that's important.
Mm.
You've still got to have the energy and the mental capacity to be able to look after your children, your family, your parents. And you can only do that if you've got time for you. And I feel very passionate about this because years ago, I got married late, right? So by the time I got married, I was already an independent woman with my own life. And then I got married and I carried on with that independency. Yeah.
How young were you when you got married? When you guys got married?
38, which was quite old then. Got to
Yeah,
remember, right? This
but
is,
yeah, same.
yeah,
Even when I was thinking, because I met Nidhi, I was 38, she was 40.
yeah.
I was thinking in my head, God, that we met very late, but by today's standards, that's young, still young.
Yes, that's right.
It's-
Yeah, but back then it was quite old. And then by the time I had children and I used to go to the gym and I used to carry on doing all the things that I did before, going away with my friends, people thought that was really selfish back then, but it's not
no.
because you can only be a good carer, whoever you're caring for, if, like I said, you've got the ability to be able to give that energy to other people.
Yeah.
So, wherever along the lines, I always say, as long as you don't forget to put yourself first at any point, and sometimes, with parents as well, if they become too reliant on you, that's not a good thing
Not a
either.
good thing.
You've
Let
got
me
to
say
teach
this.
your parents. It sounds really awful to say this, but you've got to be cruel to be kind. So, like sometimes, for example, with my mom, she's 85 now, I think. And sometimes I just want to say to her, "Do you know what? It's cold today. Let me drop you off." And then I think, no, because that 15-minute walk is going to be good for her. Yeah, it helps to build self confidence. Like she now knows that she can get on the bus on her own or she can walk somewhere on her own and cross busy roads. That gives her self confidence. Yeah. And then she'll want to try and do more things. So sometimes we just want to give in and say, oh, let me do it for you. Let me take you. Let me do that for you. But actually, I think you're kind of holding, same with children as well. I think you're holding them back a little bit because you're taking away their independence that they could have.
Do you know what? You're absolutely spot on. And I think there's a lot of people out there who might disagree with this, but it's so true because it's happened to us where we've overstepped, looked after mum and dad. And I think if anything, it's actually been detrimental because it's
Yeah.
taken away some of their independence. And I genuinely regret that, genuinely feel regret sincerely. And I see that because especially in South Asian culture, and it is the case with men and women as well, they feel that sense of duty that I should do this. And sometimes, unfortunately, and this is a sad thing to say as well, sometimes the parental influence comes in. We did this for you, the guilt tripping, we looked after you, we
Yeah.
brought you up, look after us. And so people do it, but actually they're stealing something away from them
Yeah.
by taking that independence. And so I agree with you 100%. You've got to let them not do too much, be there to support whenever they need, but don't do too much because otherwise they'll get dependent on it, and then it's detrimental to them for the mental and physical.
And I'll give you a great example. So before I met Jonathan, I was single for pretty much all my adult life, not even in relationships. So single. And I had no choice but to do everything for myself. I could change a tire. I used to check my own oil and water. I used to do all of those things. Ask me when was the last time I did any of those things now. And now I wouldn't have a clue. And that's because I know that he's there to do it for me. Yes, I
Me-
don't even bother.
Yeah, Nidhi's the
Now,
same.
now,
She
if
says the
he
same.
said to me, "Do you know what? I'm going to stop checking your tires. I'm going to stop checking all that," I'd have no choice but to do it again. But that's the only bit that he does for me with the car. But it's so easy when you know that somebody else is going to do something for you. Why would you bother?
Yeah,
And from a parent situation, it's exactly the same. And I think South Asian parents, I think most people will agree, they do like the emotional blackmail, don't they?
Yeah.
And I can say that because I've had a lot of experience with in-laws who aren't South Asian, and obviously not just my in-laws, but their friends and that kind of stuff. So it's just very different.
yeah, it is. It's true. It's more prevalent than we realize, and it can be very subtle. It is almost a form of gaslighting. It is a form of like manipulation, almost coercive control. And but I've seen extremes. I've seen the whole spectrum. You get the very tiny, like minute amounts. Even people who don't do any, but then you get the full gambit where you get to the end of that scale where people are genuinely manipulating and emotionally blackmailing their family. And it's horrible to see. It's horrible to see.
And sometimes, like, I'm just going to give you an example, which is nothing to do with caring for your family, but it's about setting the boundaries. This is what it's all about, right?
Yeah.
I'm quite passionate about that as well. So after my dad died, my mum lived she lived about 20 minutes away from me. And my dad, I think, said, sell the family house. I think he said it to her, my mum, sell the family house and go and live closer to me because it'll just be easier for me. So that's exactly what we did. And then my mum started telling me all these stories about how, this person's daughter made them sell the family home, and then they put them in an old people's home, and now they've got no money. She started telling me all these kind of stories. And one day I stopped the car and I said to her, "What are you trying to say?" And she went, "Nothing, I'm not trying to say anything." I said, "No." I said, "I don't want to look after your financial affairs. But if you're going to accuse me because you think that's what I'm doing, because other people in the community were saying it, oh, Manisha got her mum to sell the house, and what's she going to do with all that money, and da 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 da." And I had to just say it straight.
Yeah.
I don't want to look after your money, but I've got no choice. So if you suspect me, or if you think I'm going to do what these people have done to their parents, give the job to somebody else.
Yeah.
And then since then, she's never mentioned it again. So sometimes you have to set the boundaries with your own parents. Otherwise, they will continue to say things. And the longer, whatever it is, whether it's caring for them, what they're saying to you, the longer you allow anybody to speak to you in a certain way, the harder it gets for you then to set the boundary.
Yeah. I'm glad you said this, actually. I think it needs to be heard more because I see it every single
And
day.
people say, "Oh God, that's so cruel, that's so mean." No, it's not.
Yeah.
It's called that is the part of self-care, is setting the boundaries, because you have to look out for yourself.
It's part of their care as well. If you let them overstep, then they lose their independence really fast, and it's not good for them. You just, like you said, you've got to be cruel to be kind.
Yeah.
And you will actually, if you look back, now that I look back, I realize we just did too much, and it was not a good thing. Taking away their independence, and it just. Don't get me wrong. There's a part of me as well that thinks, okay, look, yeah, my parents did a lot. I mean, they went through a lot. They were part of that, Ugandan
Yeah.
cohort that had come over. My parents were lucky; they came over just before everything happened, so they were very fortunate. But they did a hell of a lot for us, and so there is that part of me that always thinks that was what was driving my actions, was that they did a lot for us. We should now do for them. But I think that mentality will never disappear in South Asian culture. It will always be there. But you just have to remember the alternative, that if you're doing this, they will stay healthy longer. They'll be around longer.
Yeah.
They'll stay more cognitively alert and, be a lot more, have their wherewithal for much, much longer as well. So if you do that, you're actually giving them a gift.
I think if you switch your mindset to exactly that actually not being cruel, you're helping them to help themselves. But like I said, it really depends on how far down that relationship you are with them. But I know for a fact my mum's life could have gone the other way had me and my sisters not have taken this attitude. Yeah, because my mum was she was a typical housewife, couldn't use a mobile phone, didn't know how to get the bus on her own, never did anything on her own. Now she does everything on her own. So you've got to it's like having a child all over again, isn't it, really?
No, it's so true. So we switched subject slightly, but let's talk a little bit about the kind of like the health, nutrition, and just generally. I think like we're into already in and nearing the end of first quarter 2026 already, but I'm sure a lot of people have already started thinking ahead, thinking about, I want to look good for summer. I want to get my
hope
summer
they are.
bod ready. They want to look as good as me. I mean, look, sorry.
Oh, you need to give away your secrets.
I'm telling you, folks. Sorry, this is just impossible. I'm set an impossible standard. I'm sorry, but yeah, no. But it's on people's minds. They want to look good. They want to feel good. So, what are some of the things, important facets of what you teach, what you share with people, that you think it's so prudent that people forget in terms of making sure they not only and not just surface level feel good, but actually internally feel good?
Yeah, and I think you've nailed it. The first thing is think ahead, because time passes by so quickly. Other than January, it felt like we were in January for like 6 months, didn't it?
Yeah.
But time will pass by. Some of you might have booked your summer holidays already, but you want to start to incorporate good, healthy habits which fit around your lifestyle. Okay. And sometimes it takes a little bit of trial and error with what works. Yeah, what do you enjoy? What do the family like to eat? So, and that can take a little bit of months just to understand that. But you don't know if something isn't going to work until you try it. So I would always start with I mean, there's quite a few things actually. Let's start with, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, I call it, right? So you've got movement, which is walking and exercise, two different things. You've got food, which is the hardest thing to control. I think everybody will agree with that. You've got stress. This is also very subjective because somebody else's stress is not the same. My mom gets stressed out sometimes when ZTV isn't working. and she'll phone me, and I'm like, but see, now again, cruel to be kind. One day I had to say to her, I can't come out now. It was like 8:30. And I said, look, try this, this, and this. And it's sometimes difficult to translate things in Gujarati as well. But anyway, now she knows what to do. She now knows to switch off the switch at the back, take out the plug, put it all back in again, blah, blah, blah. But stress management is a massive one that most people do not understand the consequences, not just from a physical and emotional point of view, but from a mental perspective as well. Then you got sleep, so underrated. I mean, so underrated. Sleep and stress, I'm going to say, would fix a good 50-60% of your problems. Stress first, which will then lead to good sleep, and then keeping hydrated. So all of those things together, I think, are what people need to think about. So let's start with the free things, the things that aren't really going to cost you time or money. Going to bed on time, going to bed early. I don't know what people do. Like when people say to me, oh, I'll go to bed at like 1 o'clock. I'm like, what do you do till 1 o'clock?
I know.
I'm in the middle of like some good dreams by then. So I don't know what people do. But go to bed on time, drink plenty of water. I mean, these are some of the basics, right? Like anything that I say to anyone isn't going to be news to anyone because there's nothing new to say. It's just about finding ways of how you can do what you need to do, but stay consistent. Yeah. So don't set yourself pathetic targets. What a lot of people do is they'll, come May, June time, oh my God, I'm going on holiday in 8 weeks. Oh my God, I'll just intermittent fast. I'll just cut out carbs. I'll just walk 20,000 steps a day. It's not sustainable. And you go on holiday and you'll probably put it all back on again because you've been so restrictive before. So start now. Think about the kind of foods that you like. When do you like to eat? What time of day does exercise or walking work for you? And then build a plan around that because it has to fit into your lifestyle. For example, I don't like working out in the evenings. I don't like going to the gym in the evenings. For me, morning works best. So I like to get it done and out of the way. Yeah. When it comes to my runs now, as you know, they start getting longer and
Just to
longer.
confirm, we're talking about this kind of runs.
Just to clarify. Well, I've had both, but luckily my gut is being a bit more settled now. So, yeah. So you've got to find what works for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Find a time of day that does meal prepping work for you? Does it work for the family? If you have got a family, you don't want to be sitting there making different meals. I have to sometimes because I'm vegetarian. My family aren't, but sit down and sometimes if your children are old enough, sit down and I think from a woman's perspective, we are always thinking about stuff. Yeah. And sometimes, and when it comes to the food part of everything, everyone's just like, oh, do you know, I can't be bothered. I'll just get a takeaway or I'll just do this. But if there are family members involved, get everyone to contribute. Yeah. Why should you have to be the one to constantly come up with, right, guys, today we're going to have this, or can everyone tell me what you want? No, you sit down as a family. And if they're not willing to contribute, then you make your food and they eat it or they don't. I'm sorry, again, people are going to think, gosh, she's so harsh. But it's true.
No, I agree. I'm 100% aboard with you.
You've got to make, like my children now, they're 14. So I will say to them, if you don't tell me what you want to eat, then I'll just make it. So contribute towards your menu for the week. Like normally Jonathan and they just sort out their own most of the time, but like pack lunches and things like that. I need input because the onus shouldn't just be on the woman coming up with all the ideas. Yeah. And also be prepared, have your shopping list ready, something again, so basic. I'm not very good at this, I have to say though, but I've learnt now to make use of what I've got at home, whether that's a fridge full of food or a fridge with just minimum ingredients. I've learnt that now, but most people wouldn't know, you see. And my daughter once said to me, and I understand what she means now, she said, we're an ingredient family. And I said, what's that? And she goes, we've just got ingredients. We don't have food. And I thought about it and I thought, yeah, she's right. And that's why I can now just grab anything out of the dry cupboard, out the freezer, out the fridge, and I could put a meal together because we have ingredients, which I can then mix and match to different foods. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah?
I think
So,
a lot of Indian households generally are that. You have your spice cup racks and spices everywhere and rice and lentils and everything as well. So all that stuff is there, but then you have to actually then concoct it into something, right?
I think you get better at doing things like that. For some people, especially if you're dieting, what might work is just setting yourself a meal plan for the week and then just sticking that for a few weeks, because that takes away the thinking behind the food.
The decision fatigue, right?
Yeah, and we spend so much time thinking about, I mean, I do, what time shall I get up now? Shall I go for a walk now? How long should I walk for? Right, okay, if I go to the gym, what am I going to... And then that's before we've even thought about food. So wherever possible, just try to make it easy for you. And if that means creating a meal plan, create it. A meal plan isn't for everyone. I understand that, but you don't have to have the same foods every day. You can maybe rotate a few, like to keep things simple for me at the moment, I'm tracking calories because I need to make sure I'm eating enough. And number two, for some days, I'm just going to stick to, like, I've got my Gujarati carb heavy foods now that I've got made a list of, because that again takes away the thinking of, well, what shall I have before my run today? Or what shall I have after my run today? So just by mentally just preparing a few things can just take away so much time and pressure, I think.
Yeah.
You know?
No, it's so true. Yeah, absolutely so true. I love that. I think you're like such a prudent way to think about this, and the other thing as well, calling back to some of the other stuff you said, the the extremism that most of us apply when it comes to change. We think we can achieve these massive changes, and it will be done tomorrow. And I'll do tomorrow. I'm going to do this, and this, and like it never works, right? You've got to start with one thing, micro change, and build it into a habit. Like
Yeah.
like you said, right? Some people are up till scrolling till 1 o'clock in the morning. Okay, can you just shift that by 30 minutes? And
Yeah.
just set yourself a hard deadline. I'll just, 30 minutes, I want to switch off and go to bed a little bit earlier. And just that one change is a good starting point. And then if you just celebrate that milestone that you've done this, and then you go and do the next thing, right? Let's say, okay, you're going to, I don't know, plan your food or something like that, whatever it is. It's just, then it compounds and it gets better and better.
I think what happens is most people, look, and I was like this when I did the marathon the first time round, is I just got so excited. I thought, oh my God, right, I'm just going to do this. I started doing running, I started strength training, I started doing cycling, and I didn't know what I know now, right? But I got really injured because I just got too carried away too quickly and overcommitted. And that's what people do, right? Start with one thing. Like you say, pick on one thing. It could be walking, exercising, food, whatever you want it to be. Start with that and then gradually build up, build up. Now, this is why it takes time, right? Because you're building, just as you've got one habit implemented and you know what you're doing with it, you can then start another. And that's why people tend to drop off very quickly, is because what this new routine that they've created isn't sustainable. And yeah, it might work for a few weeks, but we're not here for it to work for a few weeks. What we want to do is to keep going month after month, year after year, which is a hard bit, because the easy bit is in the beginning when you're super motivated, but when you've been doing this for like 5, 6, 7 years, like I get freaking bored. I mean, I am listening to Britney Spears audiobook. This is how desperate life has got, right? Because I'm so bored. I mean, like, I've gone
Britney
through
Spears.
I've gone through the Indian music, I've gone through the podcast, I've gone through, different things. I've gone through audiobooks. I'm like, well, who else's life do I want to know about now?
Yeah.
But that's what keeps me motivated. Yeah. So I have to find the things, and that's the reality of it. It's boredom.
Yeah.
It's doing the same thing day in, day out, and not always have that motivation, inspiration to do it.
That's what they say.
But that's
right?
what gets results.
Yeah, that's what they say that separates athletes from elite athletes is how they manage their boredom.
Yeah.
With the training. Imagine you're a tennis player and you're literally there serving for 5 hours straight. Surely you're going to get bored, and you're doing that day in day out. You're going to get bored after a while.
Novak Djokovic, is that? No,
Yeah.
He said something interesting, actually, not to me personally.
I was going to say,
But, I heard on a podcast, and he said the difference between. He said, I get bored, I'm negative, I get lost in my own thoughts, I'm demotivated. But the difference between me and you is I don't stay in that state for very long.
he said that on Jay's podcast, didn't he?
Yeah, right. Okay, I don't know what, but it's true.
Yeah.
I think people tend to think that people like myself are always motivated. We're always raring to go to the gym. We jump out of bed when it's 6 o'clock in the morning and it's chucking it down outside. Hey, I'm going to go for a walk. The reality is we don't. And I mean, my clients hear this quite a lot. Like, I'm not motivated to go to the gym. Do I go? Yes. Do I like the feeling that it gives me? Sometimes. But I know how I will feel if I don't do what I need to do. And that's not worth it. I'd rather put myself through 45 minutes of doing a workout. And, you know, every workout doesn't have to be perfect. Sometimes I'll go in there and I think, do you know what? I can't be bothered
Yeah.
today. So I'll give it
Same.
30%. I'll give it, you know, I might skip a few sets here and there. But the fact is, I still showed up. So it's a consistency that people find hard, and it's a consistency that becomes boring over a period of time. But honestly, you know, whatever people want to achieve, when you get to that point, it's amazing. And it's amazing to look back on your progress. And one of the reasons why I'm sharing my marathon journey is because in September I couldn't even run 2 minutes. I'm not a cardio person. I don't like cardio. Haven't done it since the last marathon, 20 years, where I damaged my knee, my shins and everything. And the reason why I'm sharing it, the highs and the lows, is because when you see anybody show up on Instagram, it's like, oh, you're so lucky. Like, oh, I wish I had that motivation. Oh, you're so
Yeah.
committed. Well, hang on, you weren't there at the beginning, because in the beginning I was doing all this on my own. But now I've taken on a new challenge, and it is a challenge because, like I said, in September I couldn't even run 2 minutes. Got myself a running coach, sorted out my schedule, and slowly the 1%, yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm still only on. I'm hearing all these people on social media talking about how they're doing their 14K runs, and I'm still on 7. Yeah. But do you see what I mean? So it's all about sharing that actually everybody's journey at the beginning is tough, but you just don't see it and people don't show it.
Yeah.
Yeah. People just, you know, they don't want to show their vulnerabilities, whereas I do. I'm always moaning about it.
Yeah.
People say, why'd you do it? And I said, because going back to the confidence, it helps build a lot of confidence when you set yourself a challenge, when you put yourself out of your comfort zone. You learn a lot about yourself, and that's the bit that I love,
Yeah. So true. So true.
because
I
you
was trying to remember
evolve.
you when you're talking, like, just brings back so many memories. Obviously, I did my last one was 2024. I did 21. 24 was the most emotive one because it was for my brother-in-law passed, right? So
Right.
that was the big one, and that was my personal best, that one. But I remember when I did 2021, I had a few things happen. Like, it was crazy because um, I think it was about just over 2 weeks before I was running in Black Park, which
Mm,
is not far from here,
yeah.
and I only managed about 15K. But during that run, there's a stump in a particular part of the park, and I knew where it was. Right, I knew where it was. I was like, just avoid that stump, just avoid that little stump, right? Because it was just in this very significant location. Each of these laps were about 5K. It was my third lap, and I hit the stump, and I kicked it, and I fell really badly on my knee. And then, luckily, didn't injure myself. However, a few days later, though, Niti and I were out walking, and my knee just gave way, completely gave way. Right, it
Right.
took us 45 minutes to walk home from where we were, which would have normally taken about 6, 7 minutes. And Niti was like, "Oh God, what are you going to do about the marathon and everything?" And I was just in my head, I'm like, "I'm gonna run, I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna run. I don't care. I'm gonna run." So it got better, and I was fine, and I ran that year.
Was it okay on the day?
It was fine. Yeah, it was fine on the day. Yeah, and it was again that year was a personal best as well for me. And then, yeah, no issues at all. Actually, to be honest, it was absolutely fine. I didn't have any pain during the day, afterwards, or anything. This when I did 2024, uh, the recovery was actually pretty good because I've been training so hard. And I literally went to the gym, I think, the next day, or not the next day, like the day after,
Yeah.
and was back at the gym working out and stuff like that. And it's that feeling, I think, for me, and I'm sure you'll agree with this, is that it's the little achievements. It's those little moments that when you run that next sort of extra K,
Yeah.
you feel good, right?
Yeah.
It's just that sense of achievement. And Tony
Hmm.
Robbins talks about this, the science of achievement
Hmm.
versus the art of fulfillment. And it's when you can enjoy the run, but also then celebrate the win when you get there.
Yeah.
And it's both things. And but it's such a beautiful feeling. And then haven't done the London Marathon, have you?
I did New
You
York.
did New York, right? One thing I'll say about London Marathon, especially in 2024, I experienced nothing like it. But the crowds that day, and obviously it's
Oh,
only gotten bigger since. That was a
yeah.
world record, and then they beat it again last year, and they're probably going to beat it again this year. But the crowds, wow,
It's
just
unbelievable,
yeah,
isn't it?
it's just phenomenal.
Yeah. And I remember when I did the New York when I was single then, and I remember thinking, if ever I have kids, I want to do it again because I want them to experience
Yeah,
being in the crowd and obviously me doing it. And it's 20 years this year since I did the last one, which is why I wanted to do it this year. But yeah, it's very emotional,
It is.
isn't it? It's, people don't understand. I get emotional. Like now when because I've got calf issues, so sometimes when I'm running, it really hurts. And the thing that gets me through the runs is just thinking about how I'm going to feel when I cross that finish line. And sometimes I'm running thinking about it, and I get emotional because I think, oh my God, like I'm actually going to finish it. But for me, it's not about distance, it's not about time or anything like that. It's just, I just want to show, especially older women, that you know what, you can do it. It's hard, but you can do it.
Yeah. So true.
And like you say, that level of achievement is on another level. And just going back to something that we were saying earlier about it's all about marginal gains, isn't it? So if, for example, if you can just improve what you're doing by 1% every day, before you know it, you'll have improved by 300 and however many percent it is. So if at the moment you're walking 5,000 steps a day, increase it to 7,000. You've already got that habit there. Just tweak it a little bit more.
Do a little bit
So
more, yeah.
it's easy wins, isn't it?
Yeah, makes such a difference. And celebrate those wins.
Yeah.
People forget. And then they get, if they get hard on themselves, if you're negative on yourself and you're saying that wasn't enough, you're actually just losing half the gains because you're not, the emotional aspect isn't there, and that you need both to actually truly progress. And if that's not there, then there was no point in it in the first place in my mind.
I think it's like they say, don't they? You've got to have the failure. You've got to fail in order to grow. And it's so true. Like on Saturday, I did a fantastic run. I did 7K. My legs were great. They didn't hurt. I did the next run the next day. Picked the wrong location because it was a bit hilly. And I ended up walking for most of it.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about it. I was like, okay, well, now I know not to go on that bloody course again.
Yeah,
But it's all
exactly.
about learning, isn't it?
is,
And it's
yeah.
about not being heavy. It's not being too hard on yourself, but giving yourself a kick up the bum when you need to. When you need to be a little bit kinder to yourself, you be that. That's a skill, I think, that we need to work on.
While we round off this topic, though, which are three big tips then you want people to go away with today that they could implement right now and feel better inside and out for this coming summer?
Okay, so the three things would be, first of all, write down a list of what is going to come easy to you. So, for example, it could be, well, I've got time to walk or I enjoy walking. Don't try and do everything. The three things that you think you're going to be able to fit in easily. So that could be, for example, I'm just making it up, walking, drinking water. That's it. It sounds so simple, but it's so important. When you're hydrated, you can think clearly. You've got more energy to do things. Sometimes when you're lacking energy, it's because you're dehydrated. Sometimes you eat more because you're dehydrated. Get the messages mixed up, and maybe sleep. Because I think for me, sleep is, if I don't hit my protein targets for the day, I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't hit them. I move on. But if I don't sleep well, that bothers me more. So I'm going to say sleep number one, because sleep will probably sort out a lot of the other issues that you've got. So sleep, write down the one thing that you're going to do that's going to be easy for you to fit in. And what was the third one that I just said?
Sleep, water, and...
Yeah, water. The simple things. Yeah. I know people will be like, what? But trust me, it makes a massive difference.
It does, yeah.
Yeah, because people don't talk about those kind of things very often.
Yeah, and I think people don't realize just how much your mood gets affected when you're dehydrated.
Yeah.
It actually
everything.
really affects your mood.
And just everything. Like for girls, your skin is a lot better. Yeah, if your skin is hydrated, your makeup sits a lot better. You look better. You feel good. Stress, as well, can really aid you. So these aren't just internal things. They're they're internal and external factors that can have the consequences by not doing them. So I'd say just pick the simple things. So we haven't mentioned anything about diet or anything like that, but if you sort out those lifestyle factors first, yeah, that's a good starting point, I think.
I love that. Simple and
Yeah.
easy for anyone can take that on board.
Yeah, and it's not going to cost you time or energy, really. Those are they really, drinking water and going to bed a little bit earlier. And when I say earlier, let's define that. I'm going to say, obviously everyone's different, but 10:30 is quite reasonable, isn't it?
Yeah. Or even just know what's 8 hours for you. If you wake up at 7 and you want to get to bed by 11, that's all right. And then you're getting 8 hours in bed. Hey, that's enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. So true. So let's talk about you and your hubby, right? Let's pivot subjects for a second, because you're part of a mixed marriage. Shock horror in South Asian culture. Hi, Sharam.
I think, is it a bit more
No, it's
common
a lot
now?
It's definitely a lot more common. But you'd be surprised at how many people I think still, if they were to broach the subject with the family, would be met with a lot of you know, a lot of objection.
Yeah.
But like, you know, we've had a lot in my family. My eldest brother was married to an English lady. My sister was married to a Tamil guy. Um, Two of my nieces have got English boyfriends. You know, so we've always had quite mixed, and you know, my family has always been relatively open. But that isn't the case for a lot of people. But
Yeah.
for you, how was it for you when? Because it's been what calculation, 17 years.
Yeah, about 17 years, yeah.
Yeah. And how old are your kids now?
14.
And and you mentioned something earlier as well that I thought would be an interesting subject to grasp as well, because there's two things that specifically here that are quite very common. One, obviously, the mixed marriage element. Two, the dietary element, because you'd be surprised at how many people one of the requirements are that they have to have the same dietary requirements as me. They have to be a vegetarian, or if they're a vegetarian, I don't want them because I eat meat, and it's something I come across hugely in my line of work. So, two things you've had to navigate. One, your the racial, well, not that I care about it, but racial difference. I know like I said, it's important to some people. I don't give a shit. I don't care. But you guys obviously make a fun couple. You do a lot of fun stuff together. But did you face any challenges? Did you face any sort of family dilemmas around it? And then navigating this whole dietary thing as well, because again, like I said, people put so much emphasis on that.
Yeah.
I must meet the partner that has the same dietary thing as me, like, you know, choice lifestyle as me. Otherwise, it's an absolute deal breaker.
Right. So let's talk about the first of all, my family were fine about it. I'd met a Sikh person before that, and they were fine with it, although his family weren't. His family said if we get married, they won't come to the wedding.
Gotcha.
His mom and dad were okay, but the extended family. I was, like I said, 36 when I told my parents, and I think, to be honest, they just were glad that I'd met somebody. But that had taken decades of educating them. So it wasn't that it came easy. But to be fair, I think it's only now that I know a lot more Asians now than I did even when I was growing up, because really I only ever had my cousins, and we're obviously from the same family. And one thing I've learned is the Indians from East Africa are very different to Indian Indians. I think they're a lot more open minded. So in my life, you see, I'd only ever known that. I'd only ever known that, well, my friends, they all think like we do, and my family like this. So everyone's family must be like that, which now I know isn't the case. But I met an Indian Gujarati guy when I was in my early 30s. He was from America, and I really liked him, and I was prepared to move to America. Until one day he said to me, I was living on my own and I had my own car and my own flat and everything. And one day he said to me, I don't know how my parents are going to feel about you living on your own. And up until that point, I thought, gosh, I'm a really good catch. I've got my own, I'm independent. It never even occurred to me really that somebody might not like me for that. And I couldn't understand it. So they were Indians from India living in America, and they were very, very narrow minded. And it turns out that they did have a bit of an issue with me being independent, and obviously that relationship didn't go very far. So I think my parents were okay with it, and I think then, because obviously he's very much into the culture as well. Like, don't get me wrong, there's lots of things he won't do, but he's quite happy for me to do it or the kids to do it, and he'll just join in where he wants to join in, and there's no pressure on anyone to do anything. Okay, if he wants to do it, he does it. So yeah, it was fine. It was not an issue at all. My family in India, because all my mom's side of the family live in India, that was a bit of a shock to them initially. But I think then when they met him, because he just fit in, if we had to sleep on the floor, he slept on the floor. If you had to eat on the floor, he ate on the floor. He would go and help the women in the kitchen, my Masi and everyone. And they all found that really weird, because men don't do things like that in India. So they liked it, and he liked it because
What a way to earn brownie points, eh?
That's what I mean. Yeah. And he loved it because it was the attention that he got. So from my perspective, it was absolutely fine. But I think my parents, my grandma always said, my ba always said that she wanted her granddaughters to pick their own partners. So and I'd spent quite a few decades explaining to my mum and dad that just because somebody is Indian, they're not going to make me a good husband, right? Because most of my family had married at that time Indian people, and there's issues with marrying Indians, right, as we all know. So, but I can honestly say now that I am very happily married, and part of that is because I'm married to a non-Indian,
Yeah.
and that's going to piss off a lot of people, but it's true. Yeah, and not that's not just with my husband, but also there was no family pressure. English people, and again, all English families are different too, but they kind of let you do your own thing. They don't
Yeah.
butt in, so you haven't got pressure from him and from them. We kind of just do our own thing, and he's very close to his parents, was very close to his parents. So all round, it was good. So going back to your thing about I only want this, and this. Sorry to say this, but that's just narrow-mindedness. If you would have said to Jonathan is 6'4", I'm 5'2". If you would have said to Jonathan, there's an Indian girl that I know, she's 5'2", Gujarati, vegetarian. Do you want to go out with her? He would have said no, because he'd never been out with an Indian before. He loved his meat, and he wasn't really exposed to culture because he was from Stoke-on-Trent.
Okay.
So he'd been out with a lot of women from different countries, but never such a cultural country. So he would have said no. And I think when you're dating, like one of the difficulties is, and I can say this because I was, like I said, I was quite old in my time for dating, is you get fixed into what you want. And that in a way is good because you know exactly what you want. But the ideal person might not have all your tick boxes. As long as they fill most of them, I think that's what's important. Jonathan is a meat eater. I'm a vegetarian. He said to me right at the beginning, don't get me to eat vegetarian food. I don't like it. Because he's tall, it didn't fill him up. Initially, he wasn't that keen on it. But then, as we know with Gujarati food, we have such a variety of foods. He loves it now, but it still doesn't fill him up. But now, over the years, he's come around to eating a lot more. He will eat, he loves Indian food, but it doesn't fill him up as much. But now, as time has gone on, he's now, I'd say, 50% vegetarian, 50% meat. And the only reason why he eats meat on most days is because he can't get enough protein in from a vegetarian Indian diet. So he still likes to have his meat every now and again. But he now could quite easily be vegetarian. I've never forced him. I used to make my own meals. He makes his own meals, used to. Now we try sometimes to make family meals together, either vegetarian or the three of them will have meat and I'll have vegetarian. So personally, you could find somebody who ticks all the boxes, is vegetarian because you are, or whatever you want it to be, but they might not have the same values and
Yeah.
those kind of things in life.
Or just treat you good.
Treat you well, yeah. So for me, the most important thing for dating is, do you share the same values, the same goals, and how does he treat me? And you're not going to know that straight away, are you?
Yeah.
You're not going to know straight away whether he's got values, whether he will treat you the way that you deserve to be treated. But when I was single, I very quickly learnt that men used to say one thing and do another. And, I used to live in Northwood at the time. And I remember there'd been times when I'd date people and we'd arrange to meet at 6:30, whatever. And at 6 o'clock, I'd get a phone call saying, oh, I'm really sorry, I can't come because da, 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 da. And then I started thinking, why are they doing that to me? Because I wouldn't do that to them. So it's about having your own values. And I then decided I'm not going to let anybody treat me the way that I need to be deserve to be treated the way that I treat myself. Yeah, because I had that self-worth. And I think that's what it's down to when you're talking about, how people treat you. Yeah. If someone was going to keep letting me down and constantly saying this, that, and the other, coming up with excuses, I'm like, well, sorry, I don't deserve this. I'm not doing it to you, so don't do it to me. And then you'll find the right person, won't you?
Yeah.
Because I always think in the early days, if somebody is prepared to constantly let me down, what's going to happen? Luckily, I had this foresight, should I say. What's going to happen decades down the line when the shit really gets tough? And we know that, don't we? Because your parents start, like Jonathan's lost both his parents in the space of 18 months. You've got stresses of job, you've got stresses of children. What's going to happen then? If he's been like that to you at the beginning when it should be all roses and, all that kind of stuff. So for me, smoking is another thing. I would definitely have preferred no smoking. But for me, it's I look beyond that. I look more at the person and what are they like? What's their relationship with people like? And one thing that tells a lot about a person is the friendships that they have. Like Jonathan's known his friends. He's only got three. I'm not even joking. And he's known them since he was 4. Yeah, and that tells you a lot about loyalty of a person.
I'm smiling because I was just talking about this yesterday to some friends who started their own dating platform, and we were talking about. I mentioned this that actually one of the biggest criteria that people should be looking at, they don't enough, is their close inner circle of that
Yeah.
person, and that should be the time when you can firmly and decisively make a decision about whether you're going to spend time with that person or continue getting to know them. But know their circle, get to know them first before you even remotely say that you two are, committed to each other, because that will just tell you exactly how they're going to respond to challenges in your relationship. And because they're friends as well. They're like, I've seen this firsthand recently. So it was the opposite way around. It was the guy, unfortunately, who was in the receiving end of this. And the female, her friends were the kind of like, if you don't dump him, we'll never speak to you again. It was not helpful advice. It was just
Mm.
really straight cutthroat stuff. And I was like, after a good hour of speaking to this guy, I said to him, okay, so now I finally got to the bottom of what's the problem, the underlying is what information she's been given by the people around
Yeah.
her. And there was that. The element that you mentioned, the inconsistency, and it leads nicely onto this idea that potentially I'm going to have my first sort of mixed singles event soon, and
Mixed
as in like just not just a South Asian event, but
Oh, okay.
getting
Yeah.
everyone together. Because not a lot of people realize this actually, but with South Asian events now, things flipped after lockdown. Pre-lockdown, we're getting a lot more women, a lot less men. After lockdown, we get a lot more men, a lot less women.
Oh, right.
Whereas in, say, English events, I use the term English loosely there, but just, like non-South Asian events, you tend to get more women and less men. So I was speaking with a friend and we're thinking of, okay, let's just bring them together. Let's see what happens.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
I think it's a great idea too as well. But I'm glad you mentioned these, like the overcoming these hard and fast deal breakers, as we call them in this day and age. You mentioned the smoking thing. You mentioned obviously the dietary thing, because people are so vehement about, they have to be this, or not be this, not be this. Like I tell people this, not as hyperbole, but genuinely when I was dating, I had one requirement. Are they a good person?
Yes, that's it. Yeah.
I didn't care. Smoke, not smoke, drink, not drink. I didn't care. Like, as a teetotal vegan, right? I'm the most boring kind of human being that you can possibly get, right? But it didn't bother me what the other person was, like what their dietary preference was, what they want to do in terms of if they drink or not. I didn't care. I just want to know, are you a good person? That was it. And I didn't have any other requirements as well with Nirti. Like I didn't necessarily want to meet anyone who's the same sort of caste. Not that I believe in caste or anything, but
Yeah.
same caste. Gujarati. I dated everyone black, white, brown, green, yellow, pink, purple. But it just so happens because I was quite open, I met a Gujarati partner
Yeah.
who we're the same caste. We've got family connections. We've got friend connections as well that go back decades, and that just all came together. But that wasn't just not on my list at all. But people just put so much emphasis on it, and
And I think when it comes naturally, like you've just said, personally, I think it's more likely to last. I
I
think
agree.
it's about being open-minded, isn't it? And I think, like when I was single, I remember thinking, well, I would prefer not to have da 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 da, but you've got to be open-minded and also on a first date. Like I've had people say to me on a first date, "Oh, you're boring because you don't smoke. You're boring because you don't do spliff. You're boring because this." And I used to think, I'm freaking funny,
You
right?
are.
I am.
You're
But I was
freaking.
even funnier then. I'm not as funny now, just like old age and everything. But I was really funny then. And I thought, this guy's sitting there telling me that I'm not funny because I don't want to take drugs. So, and obviously, I never saw him again. But I think on a first date, you don't always show your true self either. Jonathan and I met at work. So we kind of gradually got to know each other. But if we met each other on a first date, would we have seen each other again? I don't know. That is a honest
Yeah.
question. I don't know if we would have done because he comes across as being quite square, but he's not. He's actually really funny. And I probably came across as being quite bolshy and full of it and, all of that. And I'm not. So it can be quite misleading. And people are shy, aren't they? Like you don't feel a bit uncomfortable on your first, second dates. I think you really only get to know people. But I understand also that it's time. So you don't want to spend time getting to know people, money if you're going out, and then find after 5 dates that they're not for you. So it's difficult, isn't it?
But it is. But this is one example I give to people. I've said this, so it's so important. Some people will waste 3, 4, 5 months getting to know someone over Messenger, over messages, and then before they'll even meet, and think that that's a good use of their time. Which of course you've just wasted 5 months of your life. Especially as we get older, you haven't got a second to waste. So they somehow rationalize this logic that that's better than meeting up for 2, 3 days.
No, yeah.
Over 2, 3. And the thing is, this is what happens in this day and age, right? People long it out so much, and I'm like, please, 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 don't do that. Just freaking meet. If you're not, if a date hasn't been set up in 2 weeks, you let that person go and you carry on, because we just don't have time. The amount of people I've lost, in my 30s, 40s, and now approaching 50s, the honestly, at least every year there's at least 2 or 3 people I know well who pass away. We
Yeah.
just don't have time anymore.
Yeah.
You waste 4 or 5 months on getting to know someone over Messenger or whatever, and that person, all they're doing is messing you around, stringing you along. But the
And you can
worst,
send a text from anywhere doing anything,
yeah,
right?
but the worst thing is you're letting yourself being strung along.
Yeah.
That's I actually think that's worse. You blame the other person, but actually you're worse for letting yourself this happen to yourself and letting your time being wasted, because that is the absolute definition of lacking self-worth, because you just didn't value your own time,
Yeah.
your own energy, your own sanity, your own sanctity. You just don't. You let it all go and you give it away to someone who just never going to be part of your life.
And I think one thing that I would do differently now, and this comes with confidence, with age, I suppose, is confidence, is guys, if you're not interested in people, just say it. Don't string people along. Like I've had people do it to me. I don't think I've ever really done it to anybody. But if I was single now and I did not like someone, or I didn't think that they were for me, I would just say it now. I wouldn't have had the confidence to say it before. But what's the point? If like notoriously, I think men are worse at this than women, aren't they? That's just my experience.
No, but it's actually part of nature, in male nature, I think, as well. And I think women's power is in their power to walk away at the beginning, and they have to exercise that power well.
Yeah.
And that's one thing Nirti did in 2 weeks. Like I told someone else a story yesterday. At the 2 week mark, we'd had about 5, 6 dates, and she rang me and she said, like, my friend mentioned that you're on dating apps still. Are you still seeing other people?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, I've got a few dates lined up. And she was like, look, it's all good if you want to go, meet these other people. I truly wish you all the best. No hard feelings, good, but I like you, and I think we've got something good here so far. So I'm up for seeing where this goes with you exclusively. If you're up for it, great. If not, wish you all the best. And I rated that so much because I'd not seen a single other woman do that up until that point. And I was dating a lot of women at that point in time. So she did something which completely stood out to me. And I was just like, okay.
Maybe it was the self-confidence that you liked.
Well, yeah, absolutely that. But I just loved the fact that she just said it. And she didn't hide it. She wasn't worried, and she didn't care about the sunken cost thing. And I don't want to scare him away. She wasn't worried about that. She just thought, no, I'm going to say it, and then it's done.
Yeah.
And then she would, the thing is as well, what I knew was that this wasn't just words, empty words. She was genuinely serious. That I'm happy to walk away. Like, I just go on carrying dating other people and stuff, and I just rate that. But not enough women do that because they don't realize they've got all the power from walking away, and they have to be able to say it. And if you can articulate that, guys will wake up. It's in our nature, I think, as men, that we will happily coast along.
Yes.
While it's there.
I think I agree.
I admit I'm completely the same. If someone gives me the opportunity to coast, I'll coast. But if someone says it to me, then I'm like,
you got to make a decision.
Yeah.
Well, one thing that really changed it for me, and I would really, really recommend this book. It's still available because I spoke about it not so long ago on my TikTok. Is this book called "He's Just Not That Into You"?
Oh yeah, yeah.
It's such a good book, and it just makes you realize, right, that if a guy likes you, they will find the time to text you.
Yeah.
They'll find the time to come and see you. Might not be for long, but they'll make that effort. But again, if they're constant, if you send them a text in the morning and you're still waiting at 9 o'clock at night, mate, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And that hard truth is, it's hard to accept that somebody that you like doesn't feel the same way. But let's face it, if there was somebody that I liked and he messaged me, I'd be on that phone. I might not reply straight away, right? Because you might want to play it cool or whatever. But if you want to make time to send somebody a text, let's first text that takes seconds, doesn't it? A phone call is different. I get that. But sometimes women, and I'm just speaking for women because I'm a woman and I've been through it myself, is we've just got to have that honest conversation with ourselves that, is he just stringing me along? and do I like him? And what am I going to do about it? Because if it's something that you want and he doesn't, why waste your time? Because like you said, men will just coast along
Yeah.
until they get told otherwise. So I would definitely,
You have to create scarcity in his head, otherwise he will coast.
yeah.
Yeah. So true. But no, thank you so much for coming on the Feel Inspired podcast today, by the way. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you for
It's been
accepting.
great. It's been nice having a different conversation.
Yeah, I've loved it. I really enjoyed it as well.
Yeah.
And you're looking so amazing. Please, can everyone just have a look at this? Yeah, was it 53, 55? Was it
55.
55? Do you know, I was watching, just to round this off, I was watching American Crime Story on Amazon Prime the other day. And what season 3 is about the Monica Lewinsky and Bill Clinton thing, right?
Yes.
And then when I was watching that, at that point in time, Bill Clinton was 52.
Right.
And he looked, to me, he looked well old. He looked in his 60s, 70s. He had full grey hair, everything, right? He looked I didn't think he looked young at all. People used to say he used to look young. I was like, no, he looks like 60, 70 to me. But when you just think back to how people looked 20, 30 years ago, the difference now, it's insane.
And also, like in our families anyway, like when people were 50s, they had like grown up children, probably grandchildren. Now, 50s is still young, isn't it? And it's how you dress, how you present yourself, that can look very different. And I think, by taking care of yourself, physically, emotionally, mentally, I think you are as old as you feel, or as young as you feel, should I say, or as old as you feel.
Yeah, I'll be 49 soon as well.
Oh, nearing the big 50. Gosh.
Hardly any grays in
Turning
my
point.
beard. Even I meet guys recently, and so many guys I've met in their early 40s, and they've got full grey beards and everything. And I'm like, I still got my black. But I shaved off all my head because my hair was going, and I think that was making me look old.
I don't know if I remember you with hair. How long have you not had hair?
I started shaving it last year, I think about May. Before that, I had hair,
Right,
but
okay.
there was so little of it.
Oh,
Do
no,
you know what I mean?
so
Anyways,
I was going to say, I don't really remember.
But I think it aged me a lot,
Okay.
and it added like 10 years. And whereas now I've shaved it off, it's taken off 10 years. So
Interesting.
yeah,
Saves time in the shower as well.
well, I mean, it does save time to shave, but actually, this takes quite a bit of time to shave.
Really?
Yeah, it actually
Oh,
does.
yeah, I suppose, yeah.
It actually does. Yeah, I've got
okay.
the skull shavers, and even after I've done it once, I feel like it's taken 10 minutes, 15
Well, how
minutes
often do you have to do it?
Only once a week, but it's like,
Okay.
then I realize I've missed little hairs everywhere.
Right, yeah,
and I have
yeah,
to go
yeah,
through it
yeah.
again and stuff. And I don't know why we're talking about my head shaving, but still. Anyway.
Well, just in case if ever I meet anyone like that, at least I'll know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, for all the bald men out there, skull shaver. No, listen, where can people reach out to you as well, especially for the ladies who want to work on their inner confidence and how to glow? Then where can they reach you?
You can find me on Instagram or TikTok, Manisha, your nutritionist, on both platforms. And yeah, it's all about confidence. Ladies, we just need to keep stepping out of our comfort zones. Yeah, slowly, slowly, slowly. And that's how, in my opinion, you build self-confidence. And honestly, I think self-confidence it's hard as you get older because you have that lack of self-belief.
Yeah.
So for me, with my girls, it's so important that I teach them that self-confidence from a young age, because it needs to keep being worked out in order for it to progress. Because I've seen it, as you get older, it's easy to lose it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And life in general, having all the knockbacks and stuff that you do in life, it's very easy to just lose that self-belief that you had once. So confidence is where it's all at.
I say to everyone, just set yourself a challenge and just go for it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be anything massive. I talk about the marathon, but gosh, for someone else, it could just be going out doing a park run, or just, going out for dinner on your own, or going away for the weekend. Or it can be anything, can't it? Just stepping out your comfort zone.
Or join Manisha for the marathon, right? Or
I don't know, you'll be walking, but yeah.
For me, join me on the London to Brighton bike ride. It's all good.
Well, do you know what I've done actually with my clients this year? Because the confidence part is massive. I've arranged to do Pretty Mudder with them, the 5K one.
Nice.
And I've said, for a lot of women that they wouldn't have even thought about doing something like this, but it makes such a difference doing it, first of all, in a group of women who are of similar mindset, and also someone who's going to cheer you on. Because when I first started my health and fitness journey, there's so many things that I wanted to do, like Pretty Mudder, but nobody wanted to do it with me. So, by doing things that you think you weren't capable of doing, that's such a massive ego boost, isn't it?
Yeah.
So massive. So, so that's what it doesn't matter what it is. It can be anything fun as long as it's
My thing at the
you.
moment is paddle. Love it. I'm addicted.
Yes, but, David Lloyd was saying that they're opening paddle boards, aren't they, as part of their gyms?
They've got paddle courts already.
Aren't they opening something separate?
It might be. Might be
That's what I
potentially,
heard.
yeah.
I don't know if it's true.
But I love it anyway. I'm addicted. I'll get any chance I get to play, I'll go play. Yeah.
Oh, good.
Love it. And the great thing about it is as well, it's one of those sports that you just register on some of these apps like Paddlemates or
Yeah.
Playtomic or whatever, and you just go play different people. So if someone puts up a
Oh.
game like I create an open match, I could create one today and just invite people to come and they just sign up to the game and that's it. And then they
So
pay
this has
their
come
share.
over from America, has it?
No, paddle started in Europe, I believe. So
Oh,
it's big,
right.
massive in Europe. Like if you go to
Wow.
Spain and places like that, they've got.
See, there's always new things, isn't there, for people to start and
Yeah.
to.
And it's such
Years
a
ago, we didn't
social
have that.
sport. Yeah, it's such a social sport as well, and that's what I love about it. Because you're playing doubles, and like I said, you could play in
And
socials.
does
you play
Nidley do it as well with you?
No, she's not into paddle in any racket sports at all.
Right.
She loves her things like Zumba, yoga, Pilates. She does reformer. She loves that kind of stuff. But me, I've never been into that kind of stuff. I like going to the gym.
Yeah.
I like heavy weightlifting, and I like the feeling of 100 kg. Woo, and
Yeah.
so that's my thing. And then obviously racket sports, badminton, paddle, whatever. But yeah, but again, we've digressed. I just wanted to say
Yep,
thank
thank
you,
you.
thank you for being such an awesome guest. And yeah, I just want to say keep on doing amazing work. I still cannot get out of my head that you're 55. That's just incredible. Like you must be taking some weird concoction that you just keep in
Anti-aging
secret.
pills.
Yeah.
I'm joking.
She's got access to the fountain of youth. I'm telling you, she has. She's just not telling the rest
Healthy
of us.
mind, see? Makes a difference.
It does. Thank you, and I will see everyone else on the next episode.